Hi everyone, thank you for the opportunity to present my PowerPoint to you today for my Assessment 3 of Understanding the Business Environment. In the next 10 minutes, I'll be sharing strategic insights drawn from 4 key economic areas: macroeconomic indicators, tariffs and trade wars, behavioural economics, and developments in AI and their impact on labour market inequality. These topics are crucial for sharing how we plan, adapt, and grow as an organisation and business. Let's start with the macroeconomy, essentially the big picture view of our economic environment. 3 key indicators help us monitor the economy's health: gross domestic product or GDP, inflation, and unemployment. GDP measures the total market value of all goods and services produced in a country over a specific period of time. It's our best measure for overall economic output. When GDP is rising, it indicates economic expansion, as businesses are producing more, consumers' spending is strong, and employment tends to be higher. But when GDP contracts, it can signal a slowdown or recession. We focus on real GDP, which is adjusted for inflation. This gives us a clearer picture of true economic growth without the distortion of rising prices. Next is inflation, which is the rate at which prices for goods and services rise. Moderate inflation is normal in a healthy economy. It often accompanies growth. But high inflation can erode purchasing power and hurt consumer confidence, while deflation can lead to stagnation, reduced profits, and job losses. Finally, unemployment. This reflects the share of the labour force that is actively seeking work but cannot find it. High unemployment signals that the economy is underperforming. On the other hand, very low unemployment may seem ideal, but it can lead to wage inflation as businesses compete for scarce labour. Together, these indicators map the business cycle as period of expansion, peak, contraction, and trough. For us, as an organisation, understanding these fluctuations isn't just academic. It directly impacts how we plan, hire, invest, and adapt to the economic conditions. By monitoring these indicators, we can position ourselves more strategically to ride out downturns and seize opportunities during expansions. Now let's turn to the issue of tariffs and global trade tensions. Tariffs are taxes imposed on imported goods, and they have far-reaching implications beyond national borders. We can use the aggregate demand, aggregate supply model to visualize the impacts of tariffs. From Australia's perspective, when a country like the United States imposes tariffs on our exports, it reduces foreign demand for Australian goods. That leads to a leftward shift in Australia's aggregate demand curve, lowering national output and placing downward pressure on prices. It hurts Australia's producers and can lead to job losses or industry contraction. In the short term, the US may experience a rightward shift in aggregate demand, as domestic industries are shielded from international competition. This can boost output temporarily. But there's a catch. These protectionist policies often lead to inflation, high consumer prices, and inefficiencies in the long run. More broadly, tariffs create uncertainty. Businesses hesitate to invest, supply chains become disrupted, and global trade becomes more expensive and less predictable. For an organisation like ours, this could mean several things: rising input costs, delays in accessing materials or components, and even loss of overseas markets. It also means that we may need to diversify our supplier base, shift sourcing strategies, or even explore localizing parts of our production. Understanding how global trade policies shift impact isn't just important, it's essential for resilience and strategic planning. Next, let's consider behavioral economics, a very human side of economics. Traditional economic theory assumes that people are rational, always making decisions to maximize their own satisfaction or utility. But in reality, that's rarely the case. Behavioral economics explores how people actually make decisions. It takes into account physiological, social, and emotional factors that influence our behavior. A key concept here is bounded rationality, the idea that people make decisions with limited information, limited time, and cognitive limitations. Let's take a real-world example: food choices. Despite knowing the long-term health consequences, many consumers consistently choose unhealthy options. Why? Several behaviour patterns help us explain this. One is status quo bias. We tend to stick with what we know or what's easiest, even when there's a better option available. Another is immediate gratification, where the short-term pleasure of a sugary snack outweighs the distant benefit of good health. These behaviours might seem irrational, but they're predictable, and that's where behavioural economics provides real value. By understanding these patterns, we can design better marketing strategies, encourage healthier choices, and create more effective nudges. For our organisation, this insight can be applied in product development, communications, or even user experience design, making it easier for consumers to make better decisions while aligning with our business goals. Finally, we look at the impact of artificial intelligence on the labour market, and specifically wage inequality. AI is advancing rapidly, automating tasks, transforming workflows, and redefining roles across industries. To visualize this, we can split the labour market into two broad categories: skilled and unskilled labour. AI tends to replace tasks that are routine, repetitive, or rule-based, many of which are associated with lower skilled jobs. As a result, demand for unskilled labour decreases, which we represent as a leftward shift in the demand curve. This leads to lower wages and fewer job opportunities in those sectors. On the other hand, AI creates new demand for skilled roles: data scientists, engineers, AI ethics consultants, and managers who can adapt and work alongside technology. This pushes the demand for skilled labour to the right, driving wages higher in those areas. What does this mean for wage inequality, though? It's likely to grow. The divide between high-income, highly skilled workers and lower-income, less skilled workers could widen, leading to broader socio-economic implications. For our organisation, this highlights a clear strategic imperative. We must invest in training and upskilling our workforce. Supporting lifelong learning, digital education, and adaptability will help reduce internal inequality while positioning us for long-term success in the AI-driven economy. In conclusion, economic literacy is a powerful tool. Understanding macroeconomic indicators like GDP, inflation, and unemployment helps us anticipate economic shifts. Recognizing the strategic risks of tariffs and trade wars equips us to remain resilient in a volatile global marketplace. Applying insights from behavioral economics enables us to understand real consumer behavior and make better business decisions. And finally, staying ahead of AI's impacts on the labour market allows us to prepare, not react, by prioritizing workforce development and equality. These aren't just abstract theories, they are immediate, practical considerations that can influence how we lead, innovate, and grow. As leaders, your role is pivotal. By understanding these dynamics, you can set strategies that are future-ready, data-informed, and human-centered. Thank you for your time, and I welcome any questions, thoughts, or insights you might have to share as we explore how we want to build a stronger, smarter, and more resilient organisation together. Thank you.